Now, I know you have a test coming up, so I hope you have that date on your calendar. Don't forget to complete the pre-test the day before your test, and make sure you do that on the same computer you're going to use for the test, so that if there are any problems, we can fix those ahead of time. I want to do a review with you to start this week. We talked about different methods for factoring. We said we could factor using a greatest common factor and that we should always look for a greatest common factor. We factored by grouping, and we used that factoring by grouping when we looked at factoring quadratic trinomials. We also used the sums and product to start us off. There were three formulas I asked you to memorize. One was to help you factor a difference of squares, and then the other two were to factor a sum or difference of cubes. So having all those in mind, why don't you pause your video and try the first two here. In question 1, we found a greatest common factor of 3xy squared. We divided each term and wrote our factorization as a product of the greatest common factor and the quotient. I can't factor that polynomial any further, so we know our factoring is complete. In question 2, you should have used factoring by grouping. We found that 3x was the common factor for the first two terms, and the quotient when we divided is x minus 2y. -4 was common in the next two terms. Dividing gave us x minus 2y again. X minus 2y is common. When we divide that out, we're left with the quotient 3x minus 4. Pause your video and factor the last two. So we found two numbers with a sum of a times c, a product of a times c and a sum of b. We use that 4 and -3 to rewrite the middle term. And then we factor by grouping. 2x is common here. -3 is common here. So when I divide each term by 2x, we get 3x plus 2. Divide the last two terms by -3. That gives me x. Oh, I don't know why I put a 3 there. That should be a 1. What am I doing? Changing this as well. So -1 is common. -3x divided by -1 is positive 3x. -2 divided by -1 is positive 2. Much better. Now we see that 3x plus 2 is common, leaving a quotient of 2x minus 1. Now the last one is interesting. Did you get that right when you were factoring it on your own? We see that this is a difference of squares, which means we can factor this as a plus b times a minus b. But did you notice that we have another difference of squares here? So in factored form completely then, we have a squared plus b multiplying, I don't know why I've been putting a, it should be, and I don't even know why I put b here. It should be an x. Well, imagine wherever there's an a, it should be an x. A squared plus 9, and then a minus 3 times a plus 3. Let me change those all to an X. Okay, that's better. Take a look at that. Make sure that you're able to recognize those difference of squares, even when they show up inside another difference of squares. That always makes a good test question or final exam question. All right, one last one for you to work on here. Pause your video, give it a try. I hope you recognize this as a sum of cubes. So our formula then, a plus b multiplying a squared, so that's 9x to the power of 4, minus, there's your one subtraction sign, a times b, so that will be 15x squared y to the 4 plus b squared, 25 y to the power of 8. If you're still having difficulty with that factoring, go back to the homework in Pearson, go to the e-text questions you can find in Pearson, or look at the worksheets that I've posted on the class Moodle page.